You're on, Janie.
Okay. Right now we're turning onto Brown Street, and this is the place that my friends and I used to hang out with Mary. And back in the day, up on this hill, there used to be a little cement stump, like a couple blocks together. We used to sit up there and carry on and watch the world go by. And then a lot of times, once we got everyone together, we would go down this hill right here behind what we called Cumberland Farms. We would go down this hill, and there was a big place down there to party. We used to hang out there right on the river a lot of times. It was nice and cool down there, and nobody could see us down there when we were underage drinking, which sometimes we like to do. And we tend to hang out around our neighborhood. Mary lived on Cat Mousen and I lived on Brown Street, and we would kind of, the central point of most of our parties were either downtown Kennebunk in the vicinity or at the beach. This is where I used to live right here. We lived on one side. Barbie Norman, at the time her name was, lived on the other. And all my childhood friends, Phyllis and Brenda Babon, good friends of Mary, would live there. Coming up here, the Lawrence family would live right here on the corner, and we would all get together with the Water Street gang, Cat Mousen gang.
The Cat Mousen gang.
We hung out kind of like in the vicinity, and a lot of times we would get rides with the older people or the older boys that had cars, and we would go to the beach, which we really liked to hang out down there in the summer. Kennebunk Beach, Old Orchard Beach, and not really Wells Beach. We didn't hang out down there. And now we're going down to Lower Brown Street, and sometimes we would have keg parties down here. The older boys would buy kegs, and we would go out, I'll show you down here, where into the woods until the police came. And one time the police came, and I don't know who, but someone flattened their tires, so they couldn't chase the people out of there, which is not really nice, but that's what happened. And we would tend to gather in places where we could run away or see the police come, because the majority of people in the group were not old enough to drink. And at the time, the drinking age was 18, and most of us were 17 or 16.
Cut. Yes, that's the light.
It's not the last place I believe I saw her, but we'll go with it. I'll just say.
Okay, rolling. Go ahead, Jane.
We're headed down now to, I believe this is Route 9, I believe what it's called, but right here, and traveling almost in front of Parsons Beach. And I'm taking you up to a place where Mary was last seen by many people. The place I'm getting ready to take you to, the hill, is a place that we used to hang out a lot. And the reason why we used to hang out a lot up there was because in order to get there, you had to go up a little dirt road. So if the police came, we would see them coming down this main road here, which I think is Route 9, and we could stow whatever it was that we didn't want them to see, that we were, you know, drinking beer or whatever we were doing up there. And then we would just talk to the police when they would come. So that was like a great lookout for us. That's where many of us would hang. And unlike now, there's not internet or cell phones. We didn't have it, but somehow we used to had the way of just knowing we're going to have a party at the hill this night or whatever. We would kind of announce it, and people would just show. Back in the day when we would go up here, there were no homes up there. Right now, there are homes up here where the hill used to be. But the entrance I'm taking you in right now, this would be where we would come to the hill. All right. And now where the hill used to be is up there, but these homes were not here. But so basically up in this area up here, there would be a flat surface like this gravel, and we would hang out up there, and you could see Route 9 from it. And then it would be circular up there on the top of the hill, and then you could only travel in and out, which would be this road that we're on right now. And these homes all here would be all woods back in the day. The last night that most people will tell you they saw Mary was up on this hill. And she got to the hill with a good friend of mine, Linda Lawrence, who hitchhiked with Mary from the bowling alley to the hill. And it was right around 4th of July, and we were doing, I remember her being up there, and we were just laughing and carrying on. And we had sparklers, and there was a bunch of people up there. But this is the location. And normally the police would come up, and when they were coming up this road, we would go hide whatever it was that we didn't want them to see. And then they were just basically talking to a group of children. Is that good or bad? Or?
And she'll tell us about it. Of course, she's going to kill us.
No, I'm not going to kill us.
It's
I
tough.
swear. I just had to get out of the road. Okay, now we would be coming like we were done partying at the hill. And up there where you can see there's kind of a flat top from back in the day, that's where we would hang out. And then a lot of times what we would do is we would start over there at the hill because it was much more private. And then once maybe we did a little drinking, which we weren't supposed to be doing, we would decide we were going to go down to the beach. To the right up here, if you went down a road about maybe not even a half a mile, is Parsons Beach. But truly, we didn't really hang out there a whole lot. We would go to Kennebunk Beach. Up here at this intersection, if you went right, you'd go to Parsons Beach. If you go left, I'm going to show you Brown Street. That's where we're going to go. This is the old Ilease Hotel. It has a new name. It's very much an old hotel, the Ilease Hotel. Some of the things people have questioned before is why did Mary go to Cooper's Corner when she left the hill to hitchhike? But the other avenue would have been to go this street, Brown Street, which would have been way closer to Catmousin. But as you'll see as I take you down this road, very dark and secluded and not a whole lot of traffic. So back in our time, Brown Street, from this point for the first several miles, there were no homes at all, just trees on both sides. No lights at all, very, very dark and secluded. On the right over here would be another area where Mary Ellen Owenchuck, I believe her name was Ellen too, Mary Owenchuck, let's just say that, was found on the right here back in the day in a little wooden shack over there. So this road to children has been always kind of scary because that's where Mary Owenchuck was found, at the end of this road. So most of us would be too chicken to travel this by ourselves just because of that memory from our childhood. Coming up here on Brown Street, where we do a sharp turn, there's a turn right in the where the roads swoop to the right, and we would go off there and have keg parties sometimes because no one ever came down here really, and the police wouldn't really come here very often. I spent half my childhood living on Brown Street, and a lot of my childhood friends lived on Brown Street. And Brown Street, Upper Brown Street, is close to Catmousin, and so a lot of us used to meet in the town, down by the bridge. This right here, you see where this road goes off? Well, it's not a road anymore, but it used to be a road right there, and you could drive a car, but they've obviously filled it in. Starting right here with this big estate, this was the first home back in the day that you would see from that end of Brown Street to here. That was the only home. There's many homes down there now. This is what we would call Lower Brown Street. Sometimes if we really wanted to go to the beach, we would walk to Parsons Beach when we were really little, but not when we got to be teenagers. We didn't go to Parsons Beach. No. So now we're going from, what we call Lower Brown Street to Upper Brown Street, and we would just say wherever that cement thing is in the middle of the road right there, and it forks off, that would be Upper Brown Street. This is where most of my childhood friends lived. Right here, in this house right here on the corner, that's where the Lawrences lived, right there. They used to babysit me. When I was really young, I lived right beside them in this blue home when I was a young child. And then we moved away up to West Kennebunk for a little bit, but then I came back to Brown Street in another home. This home right here was where Phyllis and Brenda Babine, good friends of Mary, lived also. All our friends lived on this side of the street. Scott Lord lived in this home right here in the green. Barbie Norman and I, when my parents moved back, we lived in this white duplex. Barbie Norman and her family on one side, my family on the other side. And this house right here, I can't remember their name, but they had like Dukes of Hazzard, those orange vehicles. This older boy used to drive us around in his car all the time. Coming up is where what we called Cumby Farms is, Cumberland Farms. And we used to meet Mary and a lot of her friends here up on the hill by Cumberland Farms. It was a little cement brick. And then we would meet and go back down there to the river where there was a place we could sit and drink, which we weren't supposed to be doing. Now we would come, how Mary would get from Catmousin was she would use this cut-through road right here, which I don't remember the name of this little cut-through, but it's kind of like a short road when you're coming from Catmousin. Here's where another area where we used to go is, this is a new bridge, but the old bridge, there used to be cutouts in it when you would go down, and we would hang out in there. There would be places to sit. There was like kind of like a little storage unit. If you can think of a storage unit in cement without a front door, there were a couple of them down there under the bridge, and we would, when it was cold out, we would go down under there. We would also go down here to Water Street, and we used to go in Terry Hansen's grandmom. She used to have, Terry had her own little, like, kind of like a little playhouse. It was when she was little, but we used to like going there in the winter too. And you want me to take you down Water Street? Or down here?
Yes.
Okay. This park here was just a gazebo back in the day. I know that Mary and a lot of the other childhood friends of mine, we had a car wash before to make money. That's not the same gazebo, but one of the first gazebo, we had a car wash to raise money to make a gazebo. This house right here, Mary's childhood friend, Terry Hansen. This house right here, Lori Craig. And down here on the right is Rogers Pond now, but when we were growing up, it was woods. We used to go down there sometime. Back over here, this is Kennebunk Light and Power. It's different. Back in here too, in this area, we used to just hang out, like where the skating, now it's like a skating ramp, or I think, we would hang out in this area too. So we kind of like would go to different places, because if we always went to the same places, everyone would like see us and tell our parents, oh, I saw, you know, you here doing this, doing what. So we tended to move around a lot, kind of, during our drinking days. Before that, most of our time we'd be at high school practicing, you know, she was practicing majorettes and baton, with her baton, and she, you know, she was a gymnastics. She did gymnastics. She worked at the Glenmore, and that's what we did. Glenmore restaurant.
It burned.
Mm-hmm. And that was a big thing. So I don't really have any. I could show you around, when we go around here, I could show you like where Bivers is and stuff like that. I don't know if you want to know that.
Can we take a break inside again?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Well, we have images of picture rippers already, so we can cover them right.
Start now. Coming up here, I'm going to take you down to the beach, and right on the corner is Bibber's funeral home, and that's where Mary was when she was at last place she was at before she went to the cemetery. There were hundreds and hundreds of kids and people here. You had to wait outside to go in to pay your respects. When we were there, it was just really confusing time for us then. We didn't have what they have now. We didn't have people to talk to young teenagers that don't know how to deal with someone who just got murdered. We didn't know anything about anyone getting murdered. We were used to just our little cookie cutter life, going anywhere we wanted without anything ever happening to us. All of a sudden changed overnight. And that was a big turning point for a lot of us, because we didn't know how to deal with our emotions. We didn't know who to trust. And our parents changed instantaneously. They didn't know. They didn't want us talking to anyone. They didn't want us going out. And it was really a tragic moment for a lot of people. And we didn't know what to do about it. And this would be, traditionally, we wouldn't really hang out down here on this road a whole lot. We would just use it as a way to get to the beach. It was kind of stinky.
You hitchhike from downtown down this road. to the beach.
Normally, right where we had the memorial, the church here used to be the police station and stuff. We'd go past that a little bit and hitchhike from right there. My girlfriends and I, what we would do normally is we would hitchhike and we would send one girl out to hitchhike, and when the car stopped, we would all run and get in the car. And the person would usually be like, "Oh, I didn't see all of you." I never hitchhiked alone, because even before Mary was taken, because I was just chicken. I was like a chicken little type. I'm not now, but back in the day I was. But we usually had a group of girls, and you just hitchhiked. And or we would get a ride like with a lot of our moms didn't drive back then, just our dad for whatever reason. And usually, I guess because maybe there was only one family car, I'm not really sure, but normally our dads would give us rides and things like that, but a lot of times we would just thumb. And so I don't really have anything to tell you about this little section of town.
I'm rolling. We're rolling.
Roll now. Coming up on this intersection right here of 9 and I think it's 35, whatever takes you to the Kennebunk Beach, is where Mary was last seen hitchhiking from a party up at the hill. Some say maybe she went to the beach after the hill, but the last night that she was seen, when they first were looking for her, they quoted to be this corner up here. She came to this intersection with her friend Jackie O'Keefe and I believe Jackie O'Keefe's sister, and they parted ways. Mary was headed towards Kennebunk. I believe one was headed back down Route 9 and another one going to the port, downtown port. This would be an intersection a lot of us would hitchhike on because it's very populated. When the tourists were here, I mean, as you can see how long it's taking us just to get to it. You have to go through several stoplights to, travel through it. But right here by the Sunoco, which they call Cooper's Corner, was where Mary was seen or dropped off to hitchhike home. This was a place in the summer we would, in the winter we would never come down here because it was too cold. But in the summer we would all come down here because it was fun. It was very busy. The tourists were here. We hang out down the port, the beach, the monastery wall, which I'll show you. This intersection here looks identical pretty much to how it did back in the day. What's funny in a town like ours where everyone sees everyone, that nobody saw where she went. I think somebody knows, many people, and just don't want to say. Traveling down this road is a road we would walk many times, just having fun. Many of the kids work down here in the summer at restaurants and such. Coming up as the monastery, many people will tell you that they would sit on mostly the older people that could legally drink, would sit on this monastery wall, which is still the same as it was back in the day right here. This would be the monastery, what they would say, this is the monastery wall. A lot of people would sit up there. We did not carry on down there because we could not legally drink, but we would sit on this wall and just watch the world go by. Back there, there's a beautiful church and different historical thing back there that you could go in and view. It's where the Franciscan monks live. Coming up right now is where the big beach is in Kennebunk Beach. And we would go there a lot. And we would go out on the jetty. We like to go sit out on the jetty. In the summertime, it's heavily packed down here. Right when we come around the corner. We had a lot of friends too. Mary had a lot of friends too. Whoa. That we had childhood friends too that would only come here in the summer. And their parents would always bring them here in the summer from different states, and knew a lot of people there. This is the big beach. We used to like this one the best because best swimming and mostly where the kids hung out here. And back there, you can't see it, but there's a jetty you could walk out on and sit. So you go around the corner, there's a middle beach, and we would like to go down there a lot at night and sit on the rocks, where I'll show you in the middle, on the what I call the middle beach. And it's not, you can't swim there, but it's a good place to just hang out. And the police used to always come there and bug us a lot and ask us, what are we doing? And we would just say, nothing, hanging out. But they were always wondering what we were doing.
Go ahead, Janie.
Mary loved to hang out on the beach, just like the rest of us. She just loved the beach and just hanging out at the beach. This is the middle beach. Back in the day, nobody parked here like they're parking now. It was like a different wall. And it was just like when you went over that wall, it was like these sharp rocks. And we used to like to kind of hide out there and maybe have some beer. And this section of the beach here, it was just like rocky coast. Nothing really happened there. But I notice now it kind of looks different than it did. I don't know if they've added to this beach or what, but before, no one really parked here. And no one was ever over there sunbathing like they're doing now. But maybe they've added rocks or something to it since I left. Yes, that didn't used to be like that. It was just rocky coast. And as we traveled down here, the last beach is Mother's Beach, and that reason it's called that, I believe, is because that's where mothers with little children would always go to what they call Mother's Beach, because it's little, and you can see, the kids, and it would have like these little water pools there that, for some reason, on this particular beach, that the little kids can sit in, like a kind of like a kiddie pool, and a lot of mothers would go to that beach, and I think that's why it was called Mother's Beach. What we used to do there is at night, we used to like to park at Mother's Beach, not this section, but the next one, because the parking at Mother's Beach, you face the ocean and you can see, and it's a better view. You don't have any wall. So right here starting here is Mother's Beach. So when you pull your car in, you can, see the beach and how pretty it is.
Find a parking space.
Okay. I just went by one there. And this playground here was not there then when we were growing up. Okay, I'll turn around like we used to. We cruise the beach, we come here, this is the same turnaround right here. So I'll go back there and park. We would just turn around here when we were just cruising and go back the other way. This wasn't here then.
We cut. Yeah, talk to me a little bit.
About Mary?
Yeah, we're driving to the hill. Specifically you and Mary.
Okay. Ready?
Rolling.
I met Mary in school, and we always, to my knowledge, Mary was always around. I don't remember what age I can recall Mary, but I know in Park Street School she was with me and through high school. And Mary, everybody loved her, and I've never ever met anyone else like her. She just could go in all circles. Like as we got older, we all got in our little cliques, as you could call them. And Mary was always in all of them, it seemed like. She would kind of like bounce around, and she always fit in all groups and was accepted by everyone. She was a normal girl, although portrayed as a party girl. She was a normal girl. She had a job as a waitress. She was a majorette. She did gymnastics. She did everything that a normal girl would do. I was a flag girl at Kennybug High when she was a majorette, so I knew her pretty good there. But I just remember what I remember most about her is her smile, and she always just kind of like smile at you when we really didn't have anything to smile or giggle about, but she would always just do that. I remember like I think we were having French or whatever, and she would just look at me and she would smile, then she'd look at Dawn and do it, and Dawn do it back to me, just like going around just smiling for absolutely no reason. And she just was, I don't know, warm and caring, and it's really sad. And one of the saddest moments I had is when I got married, and her mom was really good friends with my mom. They used to work at Kesslin Shoe, making shoes together. And she came to my wedding, and I just kept thinking about how sad it must be for her to see me get married and know that her child never will be able to, never have that moment. And I almost felt kind of guilty about my happiness, because I was feeling pain for her mom to see me, one of Mary's good friends, go through that and know that her daughter would never be able to do that. And the best thing about her was she was just a loving child. She just loved everybody, and nobody disliked her, nobody. Want me to tell more, Rick? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, that was,
Okay. Starting now?
yes.
I remember memories like Donna took us to the Morning Star picnic up by York Beach, and there was a group of us, and we had way too many people on the paddle boats. It was supposed to be 4, and we had maybe 7, and they were chasing us and blowing whistles at us because we had too many people on the boat. I remember Mary used to always like get a ride on handlebars sometimes up Cap Nelson Road, hitch a ride on handlebars from Billy Lawrence. He'd ride her up there home to her home. She was just like fun loving, like fun. And we didn't have cars, so we didn't, well, we had like some of the older people had cars, but none of us had cars. So we pretty much hitchhiked, wherever we went. And a lot of times we would, another place that I hung out with Mary a lot was the bowling alley. We had a lot of fun bowling, playing pinball machines, and playing pool. And that was a whole lot of fun in our hometown at the bowling alley. And Mary and I and John, Jackie, all my childhood friends, Linda, Terry, Barb, all of them, we would hang out at the bowling alley and just basically have fun. We would normally hitchhike there, and that's where we used to primarily hang out. The other place we would hang out is the beach, just hang out at the beach and be drinking, which we weren't supposed to do. Our parents did not know we drank, even though it was said by the chief of police that they weren't watching us. They did not know what we were doing. They wouldn't have approved of that.
I remember
Is that
Frank
good?
Stevens being quoted in the Press Herald about the parents not paying attention to their children.
That's not true. Our parents all were loving parents. They just didn't know what we were doing, and they marked our time by the streetlights. When the streetlights turned on, that's when we should be home. And our parents did care about us, but they just did not know what we were doing.
Cut.
I could tell you about like dance.